Hello, folks.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so here we are revisiting Out of the Archive, a coat worth wearing from 5 years ago, and for this experience of going back in time to check this out, we are joined here today by the guilty parties, the people that brought the thing together. So who have we got? We've got Lucy Farrell in Maidstone. Hello, Lucy. And Tom Lenthall.
Hello.
Hello. And then down in my bottom right corner, we've got MG Boulter.
Hello.
And then Sam Sweeney. Brilliant. Okay, and up the top, Andy Bell, Master of Ceremonies. Are you going to get us started?
Yeah, let's kick it off. Old Glory Blues.
The sugar in the bowl and half the world's ours from digging the coal. The glory flies up, flutters away. We all go down in the yellowing clay.
Is that you on banjo, Matt?
Yeah, I was just thinking. I think my particular memory of this song was the banjo was the first thing I laid down for this record. And I remember driving for about 6 hours to get to the studio, and as soon as I arrived, all I wanted was a cup of coffee and just have a sit down. And you just said, "Get your banjo out, get in this little room," and the rest of the band were already laying this down. And I was just, what? Just sat in a room with the banjo straight away.
It's the way to get it, Matt. The whole record was a bit like that, wasn't it? It was moving quickly. I think we did it all in about 7 days, so there wasn't a lot of time to hang about.
Yeah.
It's really simple on the groove. Sam was on drums on this, right? Just having the shakers and the big kick,
Simple drumming, that's me.
Yeah.
No, see, my memory is that you were expecting it to be even more straightforward than this. You were expecting to rock up and just play through them, I thought. And then this was one of the early ones we did, and Andy was like, no, it needs to be all loads of different bits, so you need to be coming in all over the place. And you were a bit like, oh, great, okay, I'll reset my brain then, and we'll go at it that way.
Yeah, we did quite a lot of separate, cymbals separately, tom separately, kick separately.
It's very clever though.
The drums, the fills on this, they didn't sound like that in the studio, did they? And then I had the room mics up and I just compressed them. I think on the mix we just kind of chopped room mics in for those fills.
Is that the binaural head you had on everything?
I think so, yeah.
Oh yeah. That freaky head.
Terrifying.
I still have nightmares about that head, I think.
Yeah, in your dreams.
Just wake up and it's just there.
But yeah, I think this has ended up furthest away from what was in my brain when we turned up at the studio.
Oh, really? I think I was listening to a lot of Sam Amidon when we did this, and it does bear a resemblance to some of his stuff.
For sure,
he might not think so.
Sure.
And that's like
That's Slide, is it?
It's pedal steel.
Pedal, yeah. Well. What was the synth you used on that, Tom?
Oh, it was on the Nord.
Was it?
I think, yeah, because we had the Nord in the Maidstone session, so we took that, and I think maybe Pocket Piano made it on after.
There was a Juno there at the studio, wasn't there? Was there a Juno?
I don't think we used it because we couldn't figure out how to get it to work properly.
Or was a problem there? Like...
But so that's how the kind of album came to life, was it then, Neil? I can't quite remember. I remember doing a session with another Sheffield band as your kind of backing band, and you were in mode of where you felt that smells and colours really influenced art and music. So you
I remember
were
that time.
so.
Synesthesia.
Good times.
So there's a band in the old in Axis. What was the Foundry? What is now empty? Who were kind of jamming out your songs, and you were busy running around putting scents on hot lights and stuff like that.
You just got to keep it interesting.
But there was a bit of that when we were recording it as well, because you brought all those paints. And I remember in between takes and things, we'd all go in the sort of barbecue area bit of the studio and paint. I loved that. That was really interesting for me.
So I think it was because when I was writing some of it, like the lyrics and that, I was too much in my own head. Like it was too head based, and I wanted stuff that sort of was that I didn't understand happening as well. And things like colours and smells were just very different. So, and I read this wacky book, Interwar thing, where this chap had written this book where he was trying to explain and explore how all the difference, the colours and the smells and the sounds and stuff could interact to create effects. It's a doomed project, by the way, if anyone fancies giving it a go, as far as I'm concerned. but it was a good way to burn £500 on essential oils and paint and stuff like that.
Oda McSweeney.
I actually did end up making a couple of boutique scents, private use. The deterrence for youth if they hang around your front porch or whatever, you can just spray it around.
I thought I felt really unusual around you at the time.
Yeah, it was pretty subliminal.
So, was that session before or after when you went down to Lucy's?
So the whole thing took ages to sort of bubble up, and so that was before the Christmas. That was before Christmas 2014, sort of December time, and so we'd got them. It was the payroll union chaps. I asked them to come in and help me kind of flesh it out, because some of the tracks I'd had this 3-piece. Do you remember, Matt? I came down and played Southend with him. The Nose, that's it. Yeah. And some of these tunes were like full on sort of power trio sort of metal tracks, just riffs. And I realised that I could only work up about 3 or 4 of them, and then I was out of ideas for that. So, but I wanted to integrate them with some of the sort of more acoustic stuff, and so there was a process of trying to figure out whether or not that could even be possible. And so we did that session as part of that process to try and figure out whether tracks that I'd been doing as part of my solo set and tracks that I'd been screaming and jumping around the stage as part of a trio, whether you could make them fit into one record. And I think the upshot was possibly, but we needed the Wrecking Crew, and so that's what we did. We went to Mason and got the UK Wrecking Crew to come and sort it out.
I like that.
Nice.
So that was. I think we ended up in Maidstone in the sort of March or April. Was it? It was a couple of months before, down at your place, Lucy.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to remember now.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously it's a long time ago, isn't it?
But that's good.
Like Ben, who played bass, wasn't there, and Sam, you weren't there at that. It was just trying to work out top lines and decide who would play what. Because we knew we wanted kit. We knew we wanted kit. We knew we wanted bass, but we didn't know what we wanted people doing other than that. And Tom, we didn't know what sounds you might be making. So, and sort of vocal ideas and.
But those demos were like what everybody kind of got before we went into Giant Wafer, wasn't it?
That's right.
For Listening Club listeners, it's another Giant Wafer album. It's a great studio, and it's really cheap. Sorry, Ed, I shouldn't say it's really cheap. It's not really cheap. So, next track, Fall on Hope.
Oh, tune.
We should have come up with some sort of routine.
It's not too late.
Yeah.
The problem is you can't synchronise because we're all in different places, aren't we? It's like...
This was the drum part that was totally separate. Kick separate, shaker separate, tom-tom separate, and then we had an open hi-hat separate, and then a trowel, like a big metal spade that I was absolutely twatting with a hammer.
Yeah. Here's the trowel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I hear it.
That's
This has
the
got really,
synth as well on that bit. You were doing the really low synth there, Tom.
Yeah, a bit like a fuzz bass to go over the top.
I remember, Neil, you were saying when we were prepping some of this that you really like that early Bad Seeds sound, and I think this song's really got that in it.
Yeah. Well, so your thing on this is very spiky, isn't it, Matt? You've got like a couple of lines that you're doing, and it's really kind of like really edgy kind of part that you've got. Check out the open hats, it's a great thing.
I think you were playing the guitar lots next to me in the control room for this, Matt, weren't you?
You were, yeah, I was.
And I was just shouting at you, going, louder, go for feedback.
There's a track later on. I remember I had to do this crazy solo, and you were just like more. It was. I thought my guitar was going to explode. It was, so liberating.
What's the track about, Neil?
I was just about to ask that.
Has it got a reference to the Cargo on the old album, on the previous album?
Not really. No. Maybe my brain.
Same word.
Yeah, the same word. Maybe I like that word. So the first two tracks are they both feel like they're together, and originally they would, in my head, they were like track 3 and 4, and so it's just musically. Sonically, I guess, for the sort of for an audience, the idea was that they were a better way into the record than the tracks I actually had in my head when I was writing them as openers. So Atlantis and I think Land of Cocaine, I thought were track 1 and 2. So the tracks on the record tend to be in pairs, except for one that's like on its own as an old track near the end that stands apart. So the rest of them are kind of in pairs, and I guess. It's about lots of things, and they're all a bit like that, unfortunately. So, but
unfortunately,
well, I guess in terms of my, yeah.
Tell us, Neil.
Well, no, in terms of what I can say about them, but so Forlorn Hope is that. Just to take that phrase, that was. I think it gets used in all sorts of ways these days. Like a lot of things, sort of, the meaning gets looser. But I think originally it was.
I thought you said it was a "take that" phrase.
It might
Sorry.
be. It might be. But it was. I think it was a tactic that was used in a military sense, and it was when you nominated a small group of soldiers to attack a pretty formidable, impregnable position. So typically, say a crack. If you open a crack up in a fortification or whatever, you send a small group in, you nominate them and send them in, and they're almost certainly going to die, but in the process of dying they kind of make progress, and then you flood in after them. And so the idea is that you need people who are prepared to take that risk. I mean, in many cases they wouldn't have had any choice. You can't use that tactic anymore because people would say no, but in the past you could say,
I don't know, the Tories would try or have tried.
You could say to people, give it a go, and if you're successful, we'll promote you and give you riches and all that kind of stuff. And if you fail, if you don't do it, then we'll shoot you or whatever. So anyway, people had to give it a go, I guess. And people, I guess, had a different sense of life in all sorts of ways. So anyway, there's this weird idea that people would do that, but success at a venture, when you've sacrificed those people or exposed them to that risk, is you've all got to follow through behind them. Otherwise, it's a waste. And so some of the other events that are mentioned there, you've got people who are taking a stand, and they're kind of relying on everybody to come up behind them. And if that doesn't happen, then they're just out there swinging in the wind. So there's some of that in the song. But, with the other song, I think together they're really more about the fact that... How would I explain it? That there's all these massive events in history, all these... bear in mind, this record, this was 2015, we made it in the May, so I think we're about 2-3 days after the 2015 general election is when we set off to make the record. And what a 5 years it's been since then. We wouldn't have had a clue, would we, what was coming. But anyway, the point, I guess, was that all of these seismic events come and they get into the history books and stuff. But the majority of people are just trying to get on. They're just trying to survive and not get crushed in the process of all of that. And that's what those first two songs are trying to get at, amongst all sorts of other ideas that were ping-ponging around in my head. And there's a lot of that. All of these tracks are really... Each track represents a kind of train of thought or a kind of set of ideas that were bouncing around in my head, and it's kind of putting them there to get them out of my head. Was kind of the process. Does that answer
Therapy.
the question? Yeah, kind of therapeutic. It didn't really work, I'm afraid, but it was that was definitely what it was about. And shortly afterwards, I would try people, because when you're promoting the record, I guess it wasn't straight afterwards, was it? It was 2017. At that point, people would ask you to try and explain the record, and just as I have done there, I get drawn into it and try. It was always an abject failure, sadly. So I'd always come away from it going, I should just have said I can't, but then that makes me sound like a right dick. So I'll give it a go, and then I'll sound like a right dick, so I'm a bit stuck. Do you know what I mean? And I think one of the weird things that it did, that whole process, was it flipped me out of broadcast mode, and I've kind of stayed there, sadly. I keep saying sadly, it's not really sad that. I'm in receive mode now, not broadcast mode. So that's kind of...
You're filling the well.
Yeah, I guess so.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Just letting the ideas come in.
That's
ready
it.
for the next
Filling
one.
The well. Just imagine, like Sam, just imagine if it had just been me and Andy on this. Carnage, wouldn't it?
It's great
Love the
piano.
pianos on this,
Really
yeah.
great piano, yeah.
It's got a big crack down the side of it.
Yeah.
We had to tune it, didn't we?
Yeah, probably.
You got your Allen keys out to tune it.
Yeah.
We had to try.
Bass is great on this as well. He does proper John Martin on it, doesn't he?
Are you using the
Well,
Rhodes
Danny
there,
Thompson.
Tom?
Sorry, man.
Are you using a Rhodes as well?
It's we did like a piano track and then whirly over the top. Yeah.
Oh,
This is the
Whirly.
whirly where one of the keys fed back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was in the right
Yes,
key.
in
and
tune.
it just happens. Right key for this. And
Did
it
we
was-
actually shift the key or to make use of that?
I don't know. I remember Tom playing it and going, "Oh, that's weird. The whirly's broken. It's feeding back on this key," but it then just worked perfectly in the track. So maybe we did. I don't know.
Change the key of the track.
The wolf is
Yeah,
in
maybe.
the kitchen.
That would have been the right thing to do, wouldn't it, Tom?
Yeah.
If we found a key that worked, that was definitely
It's
the
not.
right
It's
thing
not
to
the
do.
whirly that's broken.
It's the
It's the song.
Possessions and all of your wealth. Leave one alive and the wolf will leave none alive. And you are him. Leave one alive and the wolf will win.
It's a lot of snare on this album without the snares on, wasn't there? With beaters.
This was the one, so we did Beater and Tom and Kick, and then we had a distorted, brushed, like stirring the porridge, brushed snare thing.
All your ambition.
And actually, we nicked one of the plugs out the bog and whacked the chain on the ride cymbal. I remember it.
Pete Flood style.
Yeah.
And the wolf will and leave none alive. You or him leave one alive. And the wolf will win. Leave one alive and the wolf will win. Leave none alive. And you or him leave one alive. And the wolf will win.
Is that you playing the solo, Matt, or Neil?
I think that's Neil.
Yeah.
Now the wolf.
I think I was dead into pseudo stereo. Well, I still am. So I think it's pseudo stereo that. Slightly delayed on one side.
There is no resistance from you now.
So, one of the things about the production on it is that it's constantly bringing in quite quiet sounds in all sorts of different places. So there's rumble in this as well. And there's a floor tom that you're kind of playing with, and it's pretty subby, isn't it? You know, and then you've got the shh, and it's really quite close. There's not a lot of reverb on it. So it's quite intense, the sort of sounds that are in there.
You on viola on this as well, I think, Lucy, as well.
Wolf is in the basement.
It must be you. I didn't play a single stringed instrument on this record, Lucy, so it must be you.
Hanging his head.
I don't know what that sort of bed of sound is either on that end of that one.
Yeah, it sounds like loads. Can't remember what.
So you came in after?
I was really sad. I don't know why I couldn't get there. I missed it all. I don't know why I couldn't get there before. But I think the Furrows had a session
No,
was
it Emily or Furrow? Was it the Coracle album?
I don't know, because Sam wasn't there.
Oh no, maybe it was.
It was just me and you.
Maybe it was Furrows because it was Rachel. No, I think it might have been the start of the Coracle session for Emily Portman, and because Emily did a couple of backing vocals on this album as well.
Yeah, I just got a day after you guys left, maybe, or like.
Yeah,
it was.
And Andy just told me all the fun you'd had. And that was me and you. Just, I mean, it was fun with you as well. And
yeah, obviously, it was the fun, just the two of us. I think I had like a 3-day hangover at that point, though. So
we should get to that later.
Yeah,
I can imagine
tickling.
I can imagine that you're sort of like, oh, you've had a lot of fun. Put this on it. It doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah, so Lucy was there like what a day, 2 days. Or a day after everybody else had gone. I think maybe you and Neil crossed over or something. But, and then
I'm not sure. I mean, it's definitely because you'd been at not just been at, but we'd been at yours for the pre-production thing, and because all the way through there was a sense of, all right, Lucy will do her thing there, and that's where Lucy will do. It was a kind of Lucy-shaped space in the studio, wasn't there, that you moved into as we all bugged off?
I love that when it's just everyone's just in agreement. It's quite easy to know where you need. Yeah, it's really hard not to do an impression of you though when I'm singing. Do you know what I mean? It's quite it's really.
Well,
Yeah.
you've succeeded.
It's just so tempting. Well, yeah.
You've succeeded. But yeah.
Anyway.
I think I'm not sure how. I mean, it was definitely clear where you were gonna do your thing, but the actual tracks. We're coming up to. It's not Atlantis next, is it? Is it?
No, it's Cocaine, yeah.
So I think Cocaine might have been a bit more straightforward, but stuff like Atlantis is a bit wonky, and then there's Strangers and Maresfield Gardens as well, and that one's a bit wonky. So I don't know how easy it was. I mean, it's a long time ago.
Oh,
so.
I think with stuff like that, you don't want to be, you don't want to be worrying about the other vocalists. You know what I mean? And I think it's probably better to just do that stuff as you were, and then add little bits over the top that don't get in the way. Obviously, so yeah. I think
there wasn't really.
Well, so.
I think we might have even left. Apart from maybe the backing vocals on Land of Cocaine, I think maybe the rest of the backing vocals were done after Lucy put hers on. Because apart from maybe the odd Matt one, Tom did the other ones. So Tom, you probably came over to mine and did them or something, didn't you? I can't remember really.
I think we did a few in the studio.
Yeah, Land of Cocaine we definitely did.
We definitely did, yeah.
I thought Lucy was there for that one, but maybe not.
I think we did that. Did we do that with the Head as well? I can't remember.
Yeah, that was all kind of... Yeah, well, it's coming up. It's... it was a lot of it was on the Head, yeah. You even get me singing on this one.
Yeah.
Proudest moment.
The Bellettes, I think you called it once.
Yeah, the Bellettes, yeah. I think Jock and Vera named it that much.
Summer's here again.
Nice reverb on that voice.
Working.
Yeah. It sounds like such a peaceful release after the other ones. It's just like it's something.
It's really controlled the guitar playing as well, isn't it? And I love the pocket piano.
Yeah, that's cool.
I will always suggest it for every track.
No, I think it's vocoder you suggest for every track. This is great.
Yeah, it is now.
Beautiful singing, Neil.
Laboring again, we'll be tomorrow. But now to dream of cocaine, the fatted land of leisure, the laying off of pain, the taking up of pleasure.
Welled up a little bit there.
Yeah.
So nice.
I remember us standing round that Head at the time, all singing into it, and that was a lovely experience. That.
Yeah, I think that was me, you, Matt, Tom, and Sam. So Neil was probably Pro Tooling it.
That was what?
Engineering it for that.
Yeah.
We'll have us fighting.
I don't think Ben was bassing, wasn't he, on this one, but I don't think he sang.
I think he'd gone by then.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to.
He went a long time ago.
Strong. Lord, save the other.
Great little backing vocal line, that.
It's beautiful.
From the snow and the filth, oh, and from the hunger.
I think there's just a B3 in the background, isn't there? And then there's a Matt's just vibrating his black steel.
The fatted land of leisure.
Shimmer.
Yeah.
A bit of Boulter shimmer.
Laying off of pain. taking up of pleasure. Now to dream of cocaine, the fatted land of leisure, the laying off of pain, the taking up of pleasure.
Really hard not to sing along.
Oh, I was. Is that not allowed?
It can all be edited.
Yeah.
I guess that one captures the sort of setting the best, I guess, because it's, you know, it is a beautiful place and the weather was nice and it was I have a lovely memory of the session just being, you know, not good times in a nice place, you know. And I think that track sounds a bit like that.
We hadn't even found the pool table either at that point. After going there for about 3-4 years, I found a pool table.
Yeah.
Which is a bit mad. You know, the cocaine bit, I was doing a gig with you somewhere, and you sang Land of Cocaine recently, like in the last year, and I can't remember where it was now. Mm-hmm. And it was to Folkies, and and somebody came up to me afterwards and said something about it, and couldn't understand why you were singing about drugs, and I was like, oh no, it's not about drugs, but
yeah,
what is it about?
It sounds like it's about drugs because but cocaine is a sort of mythical place, a kind of idea. I think it's a medieval peasant thing, feudal thing, originally Middle Ages. And it's the land of plenty, the sort of land of, the fabled land of, in America they got the Big Rock Candy Mountains, haven't they? It's the place where all the hobos and that want to find themselves, or they sing about. And I think it's got a little bit of that about it, the land of cocaine. So yeah, it's I I'm not a historian, and my knowledge of stuff's very patchy. I'm an arch generalist, but that I just picked up from a painting, and it was a painting that I saw in a book that was called The Land of Cocaine, and it kind of connected. Well, it did. I just felt something when I saw it, so I thought, oh right, it stayed with me, and then I wrote about it.
The sky did blue my infant eyes, the dew did fill my veins from dry, weaned upon the worn down bird.
I remember this, for me, this was the song that I felt most uncertain about, because it was the one I felt we didn't have enough certainty as to what parts we were all going to do.
So uncertainty is what this track is all about. And we did a pass in Maidstone of this where it was utter chaos. No one had a clue, because it was Andy's idea that I dropped the guitar part, and the guitar part has a pedal in it with a rhythm. So he was like, why don't you lose that and try it? And we all tried it, and it was carnage. And if we could have used that, I'd have used that. But it was too late. By the time we got to the studio, you reckon you were uncertain, but you'd already basically nailed it, all of you. You're all basically there already, you know.
It's funny because
on the third pass, on the fourth pass or something, you're like, oh yeah, we've got this now. But no! Oh, you'll never unlearn it again. We'll never have the chaos. Oh,
I never.
The funny thing is that main bed, isn't that? I think that's off of your fiddle or viola, Lucy, through an amp or something like that.
Yeah.
And through a tremolo or something. And so that will have
I
gone
think
on
so.
afterwards, won't
yeah.
it? But it's such a key part of the track.
It is,
now.
yeah.
Has failed to find a coat worth.
It's that trick, Lucy, isn't it, where you turn your bow around and you use the wooden
Oh,
bit
that's it. Yeah.
sort of bouncing off the string, don't you?
Yeah.
How
Or kebab stick. That's my other trick.
of trees, what castles they conceal with peasantry.
I think there's some vocal as well, just like a.
There is.
Yeah.
There's just a really low.
From whence returned to be interred within the broken bottle.
Interesting one about this track. So like,
Days
you kind of you've had this kind
on
of,
the grave.
possibly because of being, mates with me and us working together, you've had the kind of folky crossover thing and working with folkies who want to actually be doing sort of singer-songwriter and indie stuff, and then obviously you did the Bellowhead tour and all that, and but you're not folky really, and not folky at heart, and then you started doing that trio with John Bowden and Faye Heels, and you do this song I think with them, don't you? And it's really interesting because I think we were at Royal Traditions or somewhere and you sang this, and I was stood at the bar and like Faye and somebody else who wasn't in our, in a sort of music professional who would have sung it with you or something like that, was like singing along to this. It sounded sort of crossed into the more traddy genre.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it?
Find a coat worth wearing.
So yeah, in my head that was the one that would open up the record, but I do understand that it might have been like a mistake.
I think if memory serves me right, though, Neil, we actually recorded the tracks in the order of the album, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's the only session I've done where you came in and you were totally, this is how the album's going to be, track 1, 2, 3 onwards, and we just recorded them in that order, and that was
Except
mind-blowing
for
The solo acoustic one.
Night Watchman,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the
Yeah.
only one that was different.
So, I mean, it sort of sounded very, very kind of pretentious earlier on, and it was. I kind of deliberately did that. The whole thing was, why not? Like, what have I got to lose? Let's go all out and be horribly pretentious with it, and let's make loads of decisions, and let's just do that. Now, lots of that didn't come to pass, of course, because it was kind of faux certainty, wasn't it? Oh yeah, we're definitely going to do it like this, and then when you actually listen back to it, it would have been wrong to stay rigid on that. It was much more sensible to kind of change tack, but it was useful as a process, and I guess partly because we decided to do it in a short, what for me was kind of quite a short period of time to try and get the whole thing in 7 or 8 days. It felt to me like there were certain things where we wanted. I mean, Andy would have had his own decisions he's made about it, and for me, there were things that I went into that session thinking, well, okay, I don't want to be worrying about making a decision about that, and I guess another big part of it was just being really clear about what I was going to do with my part, just singing and with the guitar playing. Because again, I knew we were going to try and take quite a lot of them live, which meant getting guitar and vocals on some of them at the same time. So what you said earlier on, Lucy, about had we had the backing vocals happening at the same time, I think that probably would have been too much for my puny mind to have coped with. Do you know what I mean? I'd have fallen to pieces. You're right. It was useful to just be able to. I was already maxed out. The CPU was in the red, just doing the bits that I had to do as it was.
It's funny because it's funny that you said it was an enjoyable week actually, because there was definite points.
Andy hated it.
No, there was definite points when I thought you weren't enjoying it at all, Neil. And there was not this next track, but I think the one after. I think it might have been that one where you got a bit I felt like we were gonna, we were getting towards an argument. It was like just because I felt like it was maybe the stress, and it being such, it maybe being more of a kind of in your head and in reality now. I think a more complete. For me, it's your most complete album as a piece of work, and maybe that as a kind of concern was a stress. That you were worried about making sure it was that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so, and maybe it was just a case of knowing that, we're not kind of in the position where we can kind of do 7 days and come away going, I didn't quite work, let's go in for another 7 days in 3 months. Everyone's diary's maxed out, there's hardly any budget.
Sam could do it, like all the time.
Yeah, obviously, the drop of a hat, just get him anytime you like.
Dripping.
But we definitely did we had a little bit of a ding-dong, but it was very minor, I think. It was at the start, it was Dance Macabre, though, I think.
Oh, was it Dance Macabre? I thought it was Waving. Oh, no. Yeah. No, I remember that being... And that was, I think, maybe it was that we were settling into what we were going to do, and maybe that was one of the first ones that was like, how are we going to do this one then,
Yeah.
But it was quite... Sorry.
I was just going to say...
Sam. Oh.
Yeah, Sam.
No, I was going to say it was quite a different vibe, wasn't it? Because if you think about it, so we'd done those gigs, like that little bit of touring, Lucy, Matt, me, you, and Andy Seward, and we were playing stuff from Cargo, and indeed other releases, and it was much more straightforward, like singer-songwriter, pop, rock, whatever, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then we had me and you did the Bellowhead tour with Vera, but again, I mean, it was much more straightforward, kind of like I'm doing the drums, simple drums for a simple thing, and then it came to this record, and it was a very big departure from the stuff that we had done as a group before, stylistically, which I think is, like for me, it was very strange to arrive at the studio and then not play the drum kit. Do you know what I mean? Like play one drum and then play one cymbal or whatever. And so they were little moments of like, what the hell? This isn't the thing. I mean, it's brilliant, and I'm very pleased it went in that way. But it was. I remember a couple of moments of like, oh, this is a bit stressful or a bit difficult because it's not. This isn't how we've worked in the past. But I think the results are cool for that.
Yeah. I think that is probably right.
Yeah. And the songs are quite complex, aren't they? Yeah. And also it's like, Neil, you're probably... Like, when you're writing the songs, you're so far in your own head. And really you have to trust Andy. And there's always a bit of a wrangle. Like, just, are we on the same page? Or, like, how do we communicate? Or, like, it takes, there is always
there's always a
trust
Andy.
Like, how do we?
Yeah, well, but it's interesting because actually, having done these listening clubs, I suddenly realised how little I actually knew about the songs before I went into a lot of these productions, which now I kind of ask a lot more beforehand. And I don't know whether
but
that's
also, you
good
have
or
a great
bad.
instinct about.
I guess me and Neil are fairly on a similar page, like sounds wise and what we enjoy music wise. So, and I mean, all of us are, aren't we? We all listen to, not similar stuff, but pretty. I guess we all, apart from Sam's strange kind of new metal obsession or whatever it is, Green Day kind of American.
Cheers, Andy.
Stuff.
That's great.
That's about the only thing we don't have in common musically, I think. But
Sam, I played Edwin Toto over lunch today, and he loved it so much.
Oh, hallelujah!
Oh my god, he got on the floor, did some head spins, something.
There was a bit of a thing about intros, wasn't there? There is this kind of epic noodle at the start of this one, but I think I had more in store, didn't I? And I think some of them hit the cutting room floor.
Oh, and what is this? Is it Freud? Was it Freud?
Yeah, Freud waffling on underneath it. And I think the guitar for this is they got this cool, like non-valve 80s-y kind of amp, haven't they? And we shoved it down the corridor and recorded it on the corridor mics.
Just a little solid state
thing, the
isn't
same
it?
corridor mics that are the kind of captured all the wind and rain noise on Sam's latest album as well.
Yeah, and you know, I can understand whilst this was going down and this when I was trying to get this sort of stuff to happen, there'd be a lot of head scratching going. I think he's lost it. That's Saw. Yeah.
The old Spear and Jackson.
The artiste's choice.
Yeah. The builder's choice.
This is a riff when it comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, I've been told that I am mad. Her doctor, please advise. In myself, I don't feel bad, and thus far have survived.
When you explained the lyrics of this song to me, Neil, my head nearly exploded.
I'm not going to try it. I'm not going to. It's probably because I did a really bad job of it, Sam.
No, it's brilliant.
Oh, you're really good.
So brilliant.
You're like the best history teacher I've ever had.
Very well, I hear you stir. I'll begin with what I see. By chance, the urn upon your shelf depicts a younger me. You will notice that I wield a spear against the yielding foe. Just how it pushed into his ribs.
So all those little delay bits are just like a little
really cool.
feedbacky tape delay I was opening on the odd word, basically. Just
And the wind blows
double bass.
and the wind blows right through you.
That's Emily and Lucy. Emily
yeah.
Bottom, yeah.
So, your vocals, Lucy, on this one, you and Emily, were just really totally sorted the track out for me. I was really uncertain about it until that part was in there, and then it made sense, and I was happy. So that was a big deal.
Good.
She reached back into me.
And the sweetness of mine and Emily's vocal probably just makes it's a different.
It's exactly the right thing. It's like totally perfect.
It's really gospel-y. I think they're really gospel-y.
Rode my way across the step alongside Red Moran.
Nice shaker coming in there.
Ended Waterloo, my image in my hand. And the wind's cold, and the wind blows right through.
That bass drum's brilliant.
We had to do it totally live because they were indeterminate lengths, the verses and choruses. It was like, and we just had to wait for the exact moment. It was so exciting.
There is just one ambition left in this my current life, and I mean to grab him fiercely by the asshole in the eye.
Great love.
And drive him backwards underneath his precious linden trees. And with my tanks pour death on him for final victory.
Matt's guitar line.
And when the end comes round once more,
Oh no, he's not there.
be dead and sleep a while.
There we go.
So blood and guts again. So tell me, what's your verdict? Have you reached a judgment yet? How can you say that I am not the sanest man you ever met? Love's cold.
If we'd have tried to do it in separate takes, we'd have taken a whole week just to get this one track down.
Yeah.
When the wind
We need to gig these songs again, Neil.
Yeah.
blows right through you.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Oh,
Well played,
Makes me
chaps.
shiver. That
Oh.
goose pimples. There, I love the you sound, especially in the second verse, Neil. Like it's like you're going to explode, and because the verses are different length, it's like the lyric, the vocal. It just grows like in intensity, and you don't know when you're going to sort of start the chorus. It's like you're fizzing up. It's great. That it's so good. I love it.
Yeah, it was another one of those where I felt slightly out of my depth. It was because we were trying to get it all together. It was quite difficult, but I think that's just one of those things where that works, right? The fact that you're on the edge of what you're able to kind of get away with kind of works.
Yeah.
It's like you're angry, like the way I hear you. It's like you're really angry, but really calm. But just like...
Controlled anger.
And you kind of like... "Ugh." And that's kind of what it's so like... Just, yeah.
I think I was quite pissed off.
Do you know, it's really interesting as well how music takes you to a specific place in terms of actual place, geography. If you'd have asked me 40 minutes ago which part of that main room I set my drum kit in for that session, not a clue. But listening to that, I can tell you exactly where my drum kit was in that room because I remember what I could see. Do you know what I mean? It's amazing how it can transport you to a specific place.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
brilliant.
What smell was associated with that song, Neil? What? Was it lavender?
Sweat.
I haven't got a Scooby, Lucy. Not a clue.
Loads of this was done because it was before Giant Wafer changed a bit. So I think
the big room.
Yeah, I think the drums were in the big room, obviously, weren't they? And then, but some of Neil's bits were done in the big room as well. I don't know how we did that, but there's definitely I've seen pictures and video of that. But
Spent quite a lot of time under mic stands and like blankets and stuff.
Yeah, classic. And then a lot of what Tom did was not in the kitchen, wasn't it?
Yeah,
in
it was in the
living room.
kitchen. Yeah. Relegated the kitchen.
Relegated.
Cooking between takes.
Checking the pie.
Yeah.
You did a mean Thai
I'll be back
curry,
in a
actually.
minute. I'll be back in a minute.
In cooking, you were just sat there drinking between takes because no one could see you.
Watching daytime telly.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
This next one, Waving, Not Drowning, is like the one that I really struggled to hear until we kind of was like, well, why don't you just not play guitar on this, Neil? And then Ben, I think, really shaped this one, actually. His bass and just general ideas. I felt like he totally nailed this. And this is probably my favourite track on the album now.
Mine too. And I think the fact that Tom was with us was so critical for being able to make some of those decisions of just, I'll get out of the way and we'll leave him to fill space and we'll leave him to do things that in a much more effective way than I'd be able to manage. So, and actually I'd often sort of wished to have someone like you, Tom, doing the thing that you did on this record. So it was kind of like really good to finally have the opportunity to just... let someone fill that gap so beautifully.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
It's just a pocket piano making that kind of clarinet vibe on this. It's just great. That's the little step down sequence in it.
Oh, fragrant day, radiant day, symphony. We've sacrificed love and life.
I used my Gretsch. I've got a Chet Atkins Tennessee Rose, and it's got that real scraggy, trebly sound, which I think really stands out on these tracks. It was a good choice, I think.
Beautiful.
The bass. Remember Ben saying he really muted this one. He's always going on about muting it, Andy, on the electric bass. You've got to mute it.
I think he actually had fabric in the strings, didn't he?
Yeah, or a sponge or something, yeah.
And you're doing the electric and the steel on this,
Pedal
aren't you,
steel,
Matt?
yeah. Not at the same time though. I'm not that good.
Oh shit! I thought you were doing it at the same time.
Till the day I break.
It's a lovely counter rhythm and melody on the fiddle on that as well.
Every thought I have bubbling to my peak. Shift shape in my form.
Ben Nichols, oh my god.
Perceptive.
Proper 70s on there, isn't it?
So this track sounds like records that I used to listen to when I was starting out making records, you know.
An eddy from the deep. The waves at my back with tidal gravity. I am cause I am effect, brutally awake, caught in this balancing act, till the day I break.
And this bit didn't make sense to me until Lucy did the BVs on it. Really high one there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there is. Isn't there?
Oh jeez.
Rock of ages. Silence. Silence.
It's great.
Neil, your voice has you have so many different ways of singing. It's like, do you know what I mean?
So I think on this one there was a lot of character. There was almost like characters in it because it's not like Sam was saying. It's not a singer song. It's not like a self. Sort of like I'm not being me in it really. Each song is a different kind of voice, and I think because the songs are quite dramatic and in all sorts of ways, there was a sense of performance that isn't normal. So I think that's right. Across this record, there were lots of different kind of people emerging.
Especially at the end, you're kind of just mumbling you got like, and then you've got these really sweet ones, and then it's great.
Yeah. This one we did after everyone had gone. And I think we were really hungover this day. Because I think the previous night it was the last night, so we got really drunk and then walked to the pub and gone through the river.
Oh yeah.
And
we played darts.
Walked across the river, played darts, and then had like a really stupid, childish kiddie fight, drunken fight when we got back. And
was that a tickling fight?
Was it a tickling fight?
Yeah,
It was.
I think I spent.
If it was a tickling fight, then I think I might have won.
I spent most of the next day lying on the sofa, occasionally visiting the toilet next to the control room, and Neil operating Pro Tools, and Tom had to do some overdubs, I think.
Yeah,
Or
you were
Ben-
in a
or
right
somebody.
angle. I'd forgotten that.
And then
I remember.
I remember us going out for a walk out after that. Like me and Neil went for a walk up the hill, I think, and then maybe we recorded this track after that, or maybe just before that. But I remember going up the top of the hill and feeling like when we got to the top, like it, kind of a weight had been lifted, having got the album sort of finished. Which is weird because I don't feel that ever really about. I don't think I've ever felt that about any other album. Weirdly, I've never had that feeling.
The two things I remember from that particular night was when we walked back from the pub, we took our shoes off and it was pitch black, and we disturbed some sort of owl or massive bird in the tree. And
when you say disturbed, Matt, what were you doing to it?
and I just remember it just making this racket, and it just scared the bejesus out of us. And then the other thing I remember was that the day, because I left the day after, and I was feeling absolutely terrible. And I remember I got up, and I think I was supposed to be playing a harmonica on the last track, and I think that was cancelled because it wasn't happening. And I remember getting in my car, and I was just going to drive away, feeling horrendous. And I remember Neil coming out the studio in his dressing gown, saying, "Matt, wait," really urgently. And I stopped, and I got out, and he said, "Can you just get us some butter from the shop?" I don't know whether you remember this, because you were making bacon sandwiches. So I had to drive up to the shop and buy some butter, drive it back to you before then leaving. I remember that.
What an arsehole.
So this song must be powered by that butter, you know?
Oh, brilliant.
I have a vague memory of that. That was it. That was an unreasonable request, wasn't it? But thanks for putting up.
No.
So
this track was First Take, wasn't it? But it was a song you'd had for ages, and I remember hearing the take, and it was First Take, and you walked out the studio afterwards, and you were kind of almost shaking because you can hear in the track like the adrenaline hit you, and you change in the track. It's amazing. Yeah.
One of the challenges of the session for me was, so it was around the February-March time. You had a launch at Servants Jazz Quarters, Matt, in London.
May, I think April, May.
No, I think it was, was it? No, because the session was May, but earlier on that year,
right,
you'd done a gig, and me and you were there, Lucy, and Andy was there as well in London.
Yeah, must have been about Feb.
And Tom,
because we went out afterwards.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. And I remember us talking about Hudson upstairs in the bar, the idea of the label and that, because anyway, it was a great show, it was great fun. And on the way back from that gig, I caught, because my mother came, it was her birthday, she's a big fan, Matt, and she came down as well to the show. And on the way back up the road in that February, I caught some horrendous lurgy offer on the train, and it floored me. It was like a flu or something. It came in two waves, and it totally destroyed my voice. I totally lost. I couldn't say my name. And by the time we got into May, it had only just kind of recovered. And so we were going into the session, and I felt like there was a really good chance, and anybody that sings knows what this is like, there's a really good chance it's just not going to happen. You know, you're just going to... It's going to wear out after 2 days or something. So that was definitely another pressure that was in there. In the end, actually, I think what happened was it just notched a kind of irritating mid-frequency out of my voice, which normally bugs the hell out of me on records I've made, and actually was much better on this one. So it worked out. But I think I was kind of exhausted at the end of it, yeah.
Light, don't leave me, I need you now. For my true love waits across the town, and I'm to meet her and win back her heart. Though she'll wait no more while it gets dark, time bid this our stay. Boot heels give me speed.
How many mics did you have on the guitar on this, Andy? This was done all in one.
I don't know, a couple, I think, maybe.
It sounds lovely.
Yeah, big Flea 47 on the vocals. Great.
I'm sorry, I'm covering all ground. For all this life allows, still these hollow vows comfort the most dearly. Till dusk, she rolls her eyes, and I close mine. As she lays me down on a fragrant ground, burning leaves, I am deceived. Raise your devil to hold me down. The weight of heaven couldn't hold me now. I feel
It's probably stressed out because it's got quite a lot of chords in it as
all
well.
is way.
Oh, the melody in this is
Beautiful.
amazing.
I'm sorry, I'm covering old ground. For all this life allows, still these hollow vows comfort the most dearly.
Love the creaks on your guitar.
Yeah, I was just thinking. That's cool.
It's the fight of a life.
You can hear the fabric as well of the show.
Win time. Just to
That-
have
That line is the fight of a love. Is just so kind of
against a bitter
I
tide.
don't know, Smithsy or something. I don't know. There's this
Gold.
amazing tone to
I think it is. The closeness of everything on the whole record, actually, and the fact that there's sounds, people like there's sounds of the pedals on the piano, and there's sounds of things clipping and not clipping but clicking.
Pure laziness on my part.
Yeah, but it works a treat. You know, it's perfect for me. That.
I'm covering old ground. For all this life allows.
It's quite a process, the whole mix, wasn't it, on this? And we did. I mixed it mostly at home,
Most
didn't I? And then
Yeah.
yeah, and then we went to the Silk Mill
That's right.
in Stoke, kind of Stoke.
Somewhere.
Newcastle under Lyme, Stoke kind of area, and they I've forgotten the name of the company now. They deal with a lot of covers bands for weddings and stuff, but they've got a couple of great studios. And,
Is it Moloko?
No,
Oh.
can't remember what they're called now.
Sure,
Anyway,
there you go.
they had a great. They got an SSL G+, so we spread it out across the SSL and summed it all through the SSL, and then they had a Manly Massive Passive, didn't they? Which I'm desperate to
what?
buy. Which is a Manly Massive Passive. For those that don't know, is for the geeks. Who the non-geeks amongst us is like a stereo EQ, but they're amazing. And I'd love one, but can't afford one.
So just
chip in
keep,
for your
keep
birthday,
donating
Andy, yeah.
to the
Keep
Hudson Records.
donating,
Look,
yeah.
come
One
on,
day
folks.
Andy will afford a
Get
3.5
yourself a manly passive.
massive passive, 3.5 grand massive
Manly
passive.
passage.
But we put a manly massive passage. Manly massive passage. I think what we did actually was I went to one of the big audio shops and said, I'm thinking about buying one. Can I have one on trial? And then we had it on trial for like a week, and then I got all the settings and ran it all through there, and then sent it back. And then when we went to the Silk Mill in Stoke, they had one there. So then we had all the settings ready to go. So we got the mixes finished. But one of the biggest things, it's the most money I've ever sort of signed off on spending on mastering on this album. And it was I'll get his name wrong, but Valgeir Singerson, who is part of the Bedroom Collective in Iceland. He runs it, and he owns Greenhouse Studios, and there's some great videos out there and stuff. Check him out. But he makes really great music, but he's also an amazing producer, and he produced like some Sam Amadon albums and stuff like that. So we asked him if he'd master it, and he said yes. And it cost a fair bit, but it was totally worth it, in my opinion. We get Dean, who lives in Sheffield, masters most of the stuff that I do, and he's amazing. But the album doesn't sound amazing on like computer speakers or Bose sound links or Bluetooth speakers and stuff. It sounds fine, but it doesn't like blow my mind. But when you put it on vinyl, it's just like you can hear the mastering of that is just amazing. You hear everything, and like especially on like that solo guitar and vocal track, it's just like blew my mind when we heard it for the first time. Actually,
it's pretty huge, that track. Actually, when you listen. I seem to remember, and from listening back to it, that you get a sense of sort of solidity from that that track, and I guess that's partly about mix and master in it and stuff. It's also the raw sounds you get in at the start, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah, it is. Hang on, there's a child crying. I'm just going to turn the monitor off.
Have you got coals on them? Is that how you, do you have stereo miking over the cots? Matched pair.
Yeah, what mics?
It's the call next, is it?
It is. So this is the track you did get the opportunity to just play straight through.
Well, I remember
this was great. And you grabbed the opportunity with both hands.
Very specifically, I remember, this track takes me to Salisbury City Hall, because I remember being on Bellowhead Tour and Andy had just finished mixing this track, and then he whacked it on the speakers, and I was just like, oh my God, this is the biggest thing I've ever contributed to. But I also remember having a conversation about the drum beat from Ready to Start by Arcade Fire. From the Suburbs record, because I remember like very, very much thinking like this is what this track does at that point. Yeah, I get to rock out in this. It's absolutely mad. This was a live one as well. It was a totally live thing, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, I think it was totally live. Yeah.
I mean, this track's totally made by Tom on the pocket piano as well, isn't it?
It's a combination of that.
Twizzling four knobs.
It's what you do best.
This is another one where you were told to twist those knobs off, and Matt, you were supposed to pull all the strings off your guitar by the end, weren't you?
I remember there was a bit where I had the Gretsch and I had the tremolo literally holding the guitar with the tremolo just making it scream.
Of the one who brings the change, the call from half a world away.
I remember you saying we had to grade the drums up, but like when I come in, I'm already at 10, and there's literally nowhere to go. And it's like I've never hit a drum kit as hard in my life.
Your heart beats in a cave. Oh, the cold.
Pocket piano.
I think we did this in a control room as well. So this was loud.
Yeah. Just how whacked up as loud as it was.
And you're distorted fiddle on this, aren't you, Lucy? Is it viola?
I think so.
Is it Velvet Underground vibe you've got?
Yeah.
It's got a Smithsy Velvet Underground thing, this whole track, and the groove as well.
Gather all your friends. Well, we got some questions.
Bass,
And so
great.
It's chunky, isn't it?
It's in question, and we should trust. Take up your horny hammers
Lucy.
Must our hearts all beaten
Oh, that is the bait bit when you put the floor tom in. That's brilliant.
by skull. But we acquaint your brains with your bony chains. You are rotting wood. You are creeping rust. Oh, cold. Oh, the cold. Oh, the cold.
So, when we demoed this, we had about one verse of lyrics,
To the shine.
and so we did about 3 takes of it, and that was the only 3 times I'd sung the lyrics start to finish.
Behold,
So I was making it up as I went along.
Right.
Yeah.
if we jump up, jocular, stick out there, all you losers. Yeah, you losers. All you heavy, handsome whores. Get up on the scales, let's get some wind in the sails. Blow the locks off the local library doors. Just how many pragmatists do we need to change the bulb? And what about the rest of us? Hey, what about some principles? It's a drunken, broken fighter. Let's make a worry at the wind. Any less well suited to the world we're moving in. And a newly more subordinate kings of an crowned
Great video of this, of you doing this as well. You're on your SM7 on the vocal on this, aren't you? And you're just like,
I'm just thinking about the kit and the bass and how totally locked they are. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Have you got those videos, Andy?
somewhere, yeah. Because I was shouting at you here, Matt, just to go for it, and this isn't even the big bit.
No.
What are you on now, Sam? Is this like 17?
Yeah. I'm bleeding.
I love the pocket piano there.
Carnage.
You must have thought we were going to put a fade on it.
Well done.
Brutal.
I remember me and Lucy spent a lot of time. Well, actually, this bit here we were talking about in a previous listening club in the Furrows. I think actually comes from a Lucy session. There's like a really low rumble going on for ages at the end there. You can't really hear it right now, but we spent a lot of time in the studio together for a few years, didn't we? Like, we seemed to be constantly there. And I remember, like, us most nights ending up in the control room drunk, listening to the call at full blast on the on the studio speakers, just like dancing around. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's just
Oh,
got a kind
good
of
times.
white noise at the end, isn't it? It just kind of lasts for a bit.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
that's
Great
amazing.
record, Neil. Well done, Neil.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, well done.
Here's the
It was
album.
such a pleasure.
Oh, it's so nice to listen to it again.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it on vinyl.
Oh well,
I'm going to...
you know, Lucy,
Can you buy it anywhere?
You could get it on red vinyl if you wanted.
Oh.
It's
How red it is.
It's amazing picture.
I've got it on red vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
Does it sound better on red vinyl?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, probably not.
Sounds-
Technically, probably not, actually.
Sounds a bit redder.
Yeah. This
One redder.
this
It's
picture
blank.
was
It's blank. It sounds terrible.
It's got a rose fragrance that we've added to it.
yeah.
That's it.
The picture is by John Beattie, wasn't it? So Robin Beattie, who does a lot of the graphic design for Hudson Records, or all the graphic design for Hudson Records. His dad did the picture, and it's somebody. It's a guy who used to live in the woods in a cave or something near Leek, I think.
Mm-hmm. Doug Moller. Doug Moller, his name was, and he lived with his wife in a. What was it called? The oh man, I forget the name of it, but it's a special named place, and it's like an old earth floored kind of shack kind of.
John just got that photo one morning, which is pretty mad, pretty amazing. So.
Incredible.
Okay.
Well, great.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. What an absolute pleasure and a privilege all round.
Pleasure.